We're gonna be making homemade buttermilk salad dressing, which if you're at my house, I don't know if it's just where I grew up, most of us think of buttermilk dressing as ranch, buttermilk ranch dressing. And when you think of ranch dressing, of course, putting it on salads, but we kind of used ranch as the condiment for everything. In the school cafeteria, we dipped our pizza in it. If you had chili, you put ranch on it. I can't think of hardly anything that we didn't use and put ranch on. So ranch buttermilk dressing, homemade, of course, is much better than store-bought. So especially when you are using cultured buttermilk. When I look at the ingredients on store-bought ranch, it starts out maybe not quite so bad. You've got vegetable oil, which is soybean and or canola, and that's where things start to go downhill because unfortunately most soybean is a genetically modified crop. We try to avoid those. Water, great. Buttermilk, not cultured buttermilk, I'm sure. Sugar, salt, egg yolks, natural flavors, spices of garlic, onion, vinegar, phosphoric acid, xanthan gum, modified food starch. Here's where we get into the fun. Artificial flavors. We don't actually know what artificial flavors they're putting in because with food label laws, you don't have to put that. You just have to put artificial flavors and then they can put in whatever they want. Disodium phosphate, sorbic acid, calcium disodium EDTA, which is added to preserve freshness, and they put it right on the label so we know, contains bioengineered food ingredients, which means GMO. So the good news is you're gonna know how to make delicious, many variations of homemade buttermilk dressing so you can toss that goodbye. Okay. So is buttermilk dressing the same as ranch dressing? Well, you can definitely make buttermilk ranch dressing, which I'm going to show you how to make today, but not necessarily because you can make ranch dressing using mayonnaise and milk or mayonnaise and sour cream, and you can omit the buttermilk and still have ranch dressing. However, buttermilk ranch dressing, I think is a lot better because the buttermilk, especially when we're using cultured buttermilk, which means you are getting all of the good strains of the good bacteria, which is great for our gut health, you're getting those health properties to it, and you have that flavor depth. So if you're just using mayonnaise and milk, yes, you've got all the spices in there from the ranch seasoning mix that gives it the flavor, but when you add the cultured buttermilk, you get a whole new flavor depth because you've got a cultured food, it's got a little bit of that tanginess. It just makes a superior flavor and it makes it healthier. So there's a couple of ways that you can do this. When you are doing buttermilk and you've got your cultured buttermilk, it ends up being relatively thick. Look at that is basically as thick as you're going to have as yogurt or it's a little bit runnier than sour cream, but not much. If you want to learn how to make cultured buttermilk, it is one of the easiest cultured dairy products that you can make. And we've got a video on that we'll link to below here. So I usually don't even bother with any of the milk or sour cream. I'm just going to be using this straight cultured buttermilk because it is so nice and thick and creamy already. So I'm going to be usually you're going to do 3 equal parts of your cultured buttermilk, and then you can use sour cream and mayonnaise. But as I said, this is so thick, I'm going to go ahead and just do 2 parts of the buttermilk to 1 part mayonnaise. Now, if you like it all, the cultured buttermilk, this is where you get to pick and do your what you want. You don't even have to add the mayonnaise, but I'm going to add a little bit of the mayonnaise because of course this is thicker. It's going to give it a little bit more of that thicker consistency. And so I am just doing 1/3 cup of the mayonnaise to 2/3 cup of the cultured buttermilk. Now, of course, our mayonnaise has eggs in it, but if you omitted the mayonnaise and just uses all cultured buttermilk, then it would be an egg-free option. So now we need to add in our seasonings. I have already went ahead and made up. I've got a recipe for this, so you can grab that on the website. We'll make sure and link to it below, but this is my homemade ranch seasoning mix. This already has the salt, dehydrated ground onion and garlic powder, as well as our herbs. So I'm just gonna do a tablespoon of this. And then if you want to keep it super simple, you can just mix this up. But if you want to add a little bit of an extra fresh flavor profile and add in a little bit more fermented food for those great strains of natural bacteria, I'm going to take, these are my fermented lemons, and you can learn how to do this. These stay for over a year. And we're going to put a little bit of this fermented lemon juice in here. You could also use fresh lemons just to give it a little bit of a brightness. Look at that, super nice, all kinds of juiciness. And I'm gonna do 2 teaspoons, which is, there's 3 teaspoons to a tablespoon. So we're just gonna get this filled up to approximately 2/3 and add that in. Now, if you want it to be garlic buttermilk ranch, then you're gonna wanna use fresh garlic. Mince up a clove of the fresh garlic and then stir that in, but just know that the longer it sits in the fridge, the stronger the garlic flavor profile will be. So for those of us who are garlic lovers and who think the recommended amount of garlic in a recipe is just a guideline and usually double or triple it, you will probably be happy with that. If you don't like a lot of garlic, stick with just 1 clove and just do some taste testing and maybe use it sooner rather than later. And we just want to make sure that we get this all nice and incorporated. The spatula is actually doing a pretty good job. You could use a little whisk if you needed to, but I think we're good on incorporation here. Now, this is just one flavor option. You can do a ton of different flavor options. You can make this Greek by adding in some feta cheese and garlic and dill. You can make a Mexican version of this by using lime juice instead of the lemon and adding in cilantro and a little bit of chili powder, or if you have some like ground chipotle, all kinds of ways that you can make this your own. You can also do a version where you add blue cheese to it and don't use so many of the herbs, which is a phenomenal flavor. So there's so many different ways and variations that you can make this for all of your dishes so that you are never buying it from the store again. So here we go. This will last for weeks in the fridge. Most of the time we end up using it fast though, because your cultured buttermilk is a natural form of preservation. And of course, mayonnaise will last for quite a long time in the fridge, so will the lemon juice. So this will last in there for quite a while. So you can make this up ahead of time, let the flavors kind of all meld together, or you can make it up as needed, whips up really quick to use immediately. And this video is sponsored by Azure Standard. That's where I get all of my spices and herbs that I'm not growing here at home. So they have a great herb selection, a great spice selection. They've got organic, and you can buy it in bulk, larger packages. This is actually a package that my son opened and did a not bang up job on opening it evenly. However, he did seal the package back up for mom using a clothespin. So he did get a win there, but I have got a coupon code as well as a link that will get you 10% off your first order from Azure Standard if you are a first-time customer and your order is $50 or more. So check for that beneath the video. Now, of course, we need to taste this. And once this sits in the fridge, it will thicken up a little bit more. And you could always increase the amount of mayonnaise if you want it to be a little bit thicker. That is so good. You really get that strong flavor of the dill and the herbs in there. Comes through wonderful. I think I need to have a little bit more cauliflower. If you want the printable version of this recipe as well as the homemade spice mix, make sure that you go to the website. The link will be below. And I would love to know if you are making homemade buttermilk dressing or you have tried some different flavor variations other than the ones that I listed out. Would love to know those so that we have got more variations for homemade goodness. And if you want to learn how to make fermented lemons so that you always have lemons fresh and in the fridge, you can go and look at that here.